This is Gamay. We're going to make a single grape out of these. Not a great deal of grapes, but hopefully enough to make a couple of bottles. We've grown some Pinot Noir grape this year, and again some lovely berries there. These have been thawing. They were frozen for a couple of nights. Makes them easier to crush. They now need to be pressed using a standard potato masher. This is the Gamay. This is the grape that actually makes some beautiful wine in France. It's Beaujolais. They grow down in Burgundy. And I can already see we've got a beautiful colour coming out of these grapes. I'm really hopeful that we're going to have a small number, unfortunately, because you need a phenomenal amount of grapes. You need about 1 kilogram of grapes to make 1 bottle of wine. And we simply drop the hydrometer into the juice. Give it a little twirl. And that's reading about 1062. If we were to make wine out of this as it stands, the alcohol content in that would be about 8%, which isn't bad actually. That's a good sugar content for starting for wines in this country. But obviously we want to make wine with about 12% alcohol by volume content, so we'll be adding sugar to this. But we set this, I'll be adding this back in now. And the next thing to do is I have to add some chemicals now, a Camden tablet. That'll be crushed and added. What that does is kill all the yeasts and any bacteria that might be still in there, even though we wash the grapes well. And then we also add a teaspoonful of pectolase. And what that does is destroys the ability of this fruit to produce pectin, because what pectin does, it's really good in jam making. It makes the jam set, but in wine it's a bit of a disaster, because what it does, it makes the wine cloudy. So here's the crushed Camden tablet being added, and the pectolase, and then this needs to be left for 24 hours before adding the sugar, and then add in the yeast. So turn into the Pinot Noir. Beautiful colour juice in this one as well. Okay, that's well and truly crushed. I'm ready to take a specific gravity reading on this as well now. And again, excellent sugar content for a start. We're at over 1060, 1062. Something that we done on the Gamay, and I forgot to mention, I'm going to do it on the Pinot Noir, is check the acidity. So what we do is simple piece of litmus paper, take a reading, and what we're looking at is a pH value somewhere between 3 and 4, and that's pretty much between 3 and 4, so there's no need to add any acid to our grape must. What I next need to do is add a Camden tablet and some pectolose. Crush a Camden tablet, pectolose, and same principle, mix them in, set them aside for 24 hours, then add the sugar and the yeast. So 100 grams going to be mixed into boiling water today, and then probably Saturday morning I'll add the rest of the sugar, it's another 80 grams. So here's the sugar that's been diluted in boiling water, being added to the wine must, and this will be set aside for this to cool. So later this afternoon, probably about 6 hours time, I'll be adding yeast and yeast nutrient to this, and adding the sugar into the Pinot Noir mix. 100 grams gone in there, another 80 grams to be added in a couple of days time. So as with the Gamay, give this a stir around. This is a real sugary must now. Yeast to be added to this, as I say, about 4 o'clock this afternoon, in about 6 hours time. This is the interesting stage, adding the yeast. This sort of kicks everything off. So this is a burgundy red yeast I'm going to try. There's enough in this little packet to do 5 gallons. I haven't even got half a gallon in here, so we also add this. This is yeast nutrient, and what I've done, I've already put half a teaspoonful in some water. I'm just going to add that in. Gives the yeast a bit of a boost. Get the yeast well mixed in. And in fact, after mixing that in, I'm just going to add a little sprinkling on top. This is the Pinot Noir. And again, sprinkle the yeast on the top. It's the nutrient in. Look at that. Again, this will now have its lid put on for about 7 days, and I'll be opening it up every day just to knock the crown down in so that the fruit gives off maximum flavour. 4 days into fermentation, we're just going to add another 80 grams of sugar now to the Pinot Noir first. Fermentation going really well. All those bubbles, that's carbon dioxide, that's the yeast reacting with the sugars. Another 80 grams. And that will be left now for another 3 or 4 days. This is the Gamay, and again fermentation going really well. You see, you get a bit of a crown comes on the top. 80 grams of sugar, and that's the final part of the mix. That will be set down now for another 3 or 4 days. So it's time now to transfer from the fermenting bucket into the demijohn. Just making it a little bit easier to put it through the bag. Just skim these off the top. So there's all the skins skimmed off, or most of them. Through the straining muslin and into the demijohn, where it'll stay for a couple of weeks. Because fermentation won't have finished. This is what's known as secondary fermentation now, or malolactic fermentation. Much slower than in the bucket. About 70% of the alcohol will already have been created in the bucket from the yeast and the sugar reacting. The other 30% creation of alcohol will now take place in the demijohn, so I'm told. I'm just squeezing the last little bit out. Just on about 2 litres here of Gamay. This is Pinot Noir, and again, it's been fermenting away now for about 5 days. Nothing very technical about this, it's all a little bit take it up as we go along. Okay, just racking off now our Pinot Noir. This is the first rack. Beautiful colour. And that's not tasting too bad for a first rack. That's going to be a nice wine. I'm just going to leave it, I'm not adding any sugar. Just needs topping up, just with a little bit of water. Okay, here we are racking our 2 litres of Gamay. Not bad. That's the Gamay racked, and here's the sludge just left over after the end of fermentation. So this just needs to be set down now for a couple of weeks. Probably racked again in maybe 2 or 3 weeks time, and then left to stand again. Then it'll be bottled once we're happy enough that it's cleared enough. It's looking pretty clear already.